Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Step by Step, where today we see a really good Lapras build and a really good Lapras player take on my Decidueye deck, and we get to see why Lapras can be a little bit of a problem for Decidueye, even though it's weak to Decidueye. Also, because I haven't played against Lapras before, we can see a little bit about what we should do against Lapras rather than what I did. So I have played against Lapras Zoroark, but I haven't, which is more of an aggressive build, but I haven't played against Lapras Wobbuffet and all the hammers and flare grunts and everything like that. So this is an interesting game on what not to do against Lapras. And sorry for the screen flipping. It doesn't do it anymore in the video. I'm not really sure why it did that. I just did it when I was playing the game. But the matchup is interesting enough for me to still want to upload this video for you guys to watch, even though the screen flipped a couple times. I think you'll still get a little something out of it. Now, ideally against Lapras, this was the first time I've ever played against it, so I didn't do a good job of implementing a strategy or thinking of a strategy before starting the game. I just kind of went for what I normally do. And that's never really a good idea. Against Lapras, what you want to do is establish the trainer lock super early so you can take away their enhanced hammers, crushing hammers, and VS Seeker for Flare Grunt. If you can do that, you do severely limit them. You just have to watch out for the remaining Flare Grunt and any Team Skull Grunt to take away the energies attached to your active Pokemon or from your hand. So it's safest to be able to have something that can kind of like retreat up front and attach to the bench. That's the best thing to do against a Lapras deck like this, once you've got your trainer lock set up. Attaching energies before you get the trainer lock set up, as you're going to see in this video, is extremely risky and not a good idea. I'm playing it with the mindset now, like, oh, maybe I'll get a Float Stone and enough stuff to go ahead and evolve to Decidueye turn 1 and go ahead and Hollow Hunt. Even so, doing that without Trainer Lock can be really bad. You're going to see it in this match. And against Lapras, you're going to want to save your Hollow Hunt for later in the game, too, because if they have gotten rid of a lot of your energies, then you're going to want to be able to have a way to recover them, and under Trainer Lock, there's no way other than Hollow Hunt to recover them. So we're going to get a turn 1 Decidueye, but honestly, getting a turn 1 Decidueye and Hollow Hunting, like I said, it's just not a good idea. You want to save your Hollow Hunt. You're going to open yourself up to Crushing Hammer by doing this, which you're going to see. And with this Hollow Hunt, I'm just getting cards to help set up even more Decidueye, help set up a Vileplume, which isn't a terrible idea. I mean, getting Level Ball, Ultra Ball, whatever, to get Gloom, Vileplume next turn is not a bad idea. Getting the Trainer Mail just in case the Force of Giant Plants gets discarded by a Rough Seas, not a bad idea. It's just you don't want to do that so early against Lapras. See, because now those cards are getting end away. And we're open back up to the whole Crushing Hammer, Flare Grunt, VS Seeker. Well, not Flare Grunt this turn, but you know what I mean. And the Nest Ball for the Wobbuffet. That Wobbuffet is really crucial in this matchup, and it makes for a really good play in a few turns. And the fact that you can sit there and just collect, when the time is right to bring up the Wobbuffet, it allows you to have the stuff in your hand that you need to be able to pull off that turn properly. So, again, another reason why Hollow Hunting early is a bad idea against Lapras. Do it mid-ish game where you can recover your energies and probably put an N in your hand so you can N away with the really big collect hands. We're putting 20 on Wobbuffet. That way, if it ever gets stuck active, stays active at the end of a turn, or I get a Lysander, I can always Lysander it and knock it out. But again, it's really not a good idea for me to be attaching energies here. I don't really know what I was expecting. I guess my hand wasn't that good, which really isn't a good reason to attach an energy, just hoping that you top deck something to help your hand get better. Even though I top decked to grass, which is kind of silly. Um, but I mean, I guess when I was playing this game, I was just thinking, well, I'll attach an energy, hopefully survive to next turn, and start attaching and attach another one so I can actually start attacking and taking prizes. But against a um, against a Lapras deck, when they've got what 10, 11 cards in the hand, there's no way you can expect to survive to next turn with the energy that you have on your active Pokemon of all places, especially without Trainer Lock. There's really no way you can expect that. And then the rough seas come out and take away your feather arrows. So you really got to be careful and be patient and wait and not get nervous. Don't worry about anything. Don't worry about attaching energies until you really can get that trainer lock established. And even then, it's probably not a bad idea to attach them to the bench if you can retreat your active or save a double colorless to attach to the active and retreat. But if you play that strategy, you always open yourself up to the Team Flare Grunt, which could discard 2 energies in your hand. So that's why this deck is so difficult to play against, and that's why you have to keep your Hollow Hunt for later in the game, because if they do make that play where they discard your energies from your hand or from your active, you got to be able to recover them. And of course, you can see me attaching an energy here and playing a Sycamore. Really, my hopes are just that I can get something that can allow Trainer Lock to happen. But even this isn't a good play because he just via Seekered that Flare Grunt back into his hands. So you really got to pay attention to what's going on, no matter what the matchup is, but especially when you're facing a disruption deck, you have to look for that one moment of weakness to take advantage of it. And I certainly didn't do that in this turn or in this matchup. So it's a good matchup to learn from, a good video to learn the matchup from for sure. And honestly, the Lapras deck is such a good deck. I mean, if I get to the point where I've got 6 energies in the discard pile, even if I get a fully powered up Decidueye, if he were to play a Lysander and bring up something that couldn't attack, like another Decidueye or a Shaman that doesn't have any energy or something like that, or if I didn't put a Floatstone on my Vileplume, then I mean, I'm stuck, you know? There's no way I can retreat unless I draw my Olympia, which most lists don't play. Most Decidueye decks don't play that. But then if they just play a second Lysander, then I'm super stuck. Then I'm just going to be relying on Feather Arrow. So, I mean, it puts things in a really tough spot. And if they Lysander up something that doesn't have any energies, most of your energies are hammered away, and you're relying on Feather Arrow, all they have to do is retreat into Wobbuffet, and then that's basically just game. Because most players who play against Decidueye, I mean, pretty much all lists are the same nowadays anyway. You're going to know there's 7 or 8 energies, 2 or 3 float stones. So when you can see, like, hey, there's 5 to 6 energies on board or in the discard pile, and at least 2 float stones on board or in the discard pile, it's time to definitely go ahead and Lysander something and prevent the Decidueye player from being able to retreat. And Field Blower, when it comes out too, which isn't going to be too long from now, will allow you to actually blow away some of the tools, so you can Lysander something like you could bring up like once you know that the energies are pretty much out of the question for using them for retreat, you could just like bring up Wobbuffet, turn off the Vileplume, Field Blower away the tool on the Vileplume, and then Lysander the Vileplume. And I mean, basically that's game. What are you gonna do? You know. And that's super doable, by the way, with all the collects that you're going to use, because you're going to have like a 15, 16 card hand, which is why it's important to hold on to an N. So the turn I establish a trainer lock, he goes ahead and retreats, brings up Wobbuffet, and starts playing the Crushing Hammer via Seeker for Flare Grunt. It's really good. This is a really good turn and a really good move by the opponent here, by Superior 44. He was a superior player in this matchup for sure. Yeah, that turn deserved a well played. At this point, I get a little nervous about the Wobbuffet because I don't want turns like that to happen again. So I just start feather arrowing it. It's not a horrible play because the damage on Wobbuffet can't be healed off from Rough Seas. It allows me to get a prize, so maybe I can pull an energy because I think I've got one prized in this match. And it allows that Wobbuffet play that he was making last turn to be prevented from happening anymore during the game. But I mean, at this point, I'm just relying on on my feather arrows combining for once it hits his turn 10 whole damage to allow me to get a knockout. So I don't know why I'm dropping damage on the benched one at this point. I'm sure there's a reason, but it doesn't make too much sense since he's got the Fighting Fury belt on the benched one. And so I run 8 energies in mine. A lot of people run 7. So you can see I've got 1 on the field, 1 in hand, and 5 in the discard pile. So there's only 1 more energy left. It would be really nice to have not used my Hollow Hunt and go ahead and use it now. Grab some energies, and then next turn attach and play the N. That would be a great play. Well, let me rephrase that, because he did via Seeger for the Flare Grunt. It would be a great play to N first, then Hollow Hunt, and grab the energies out. But I used my Hollow Hunt way too early in this game. I played it like it was a traditional Decidueye match. That's why it's important to test and learn these matchups. What's he got, like a 17 card hand right now? I mean, that's just utterly ridiculous. Drop 50, heal, drop 40, heal 30, drop 40, heal 30. So we're just doing plus 10 every turn. And I'm putting it on something with a Fighting Fury belt for some reason. That Skull Grunt, by the way, that's super nasty. If I was holding on to any energies, I mean, that would just be horrible. But it's a great card. I mean, for playing it this late in the game, it's a fantastic card. This is a great play right here. Goodbye, 4 cards. I love it. I love that Team Rocket's handiwork all of a sudden. Now I'm frozen. I mean, granted, he's next turn he's gonna do 160 and knock me out. This is where he starts to take prizes. He knows he's got me either on the deck out or on the prizes. Either way, that was a fantastic play. The double heads handiwork. I wouldn't have won, but you can see my DCE getting discarded there, which is kind of hilarious. Because, like, let's say that he didn't get that and I was able to draw my DCE. If I could have attached it to my bench Decidueye and played an N and gotten rid of his huge hand, I mean, I would have been able to take a prize on the active. And then, oh, of course, that's why I was attacking the bench Pokemon with Feather Arrow. So I could negate the Fighting Fury belt late game. But then we get the double handiwork heads again. I love it. He doesn't even attack. So really good game by my opponent. I learned a lot from it, and I hope you did too. As always, remember to have fun when you're playing Pokemon.